I choose to sit on a couch with no cushions because what do I need cushions for? My ass is perfectly fine as it is. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you play Valorant. Congratulations, I'm sorry to hear that. Valorant is a game that makes people very frustrated very quickly. Why? Well, it depends who you ask. I think a lot of players would just say it makes you frustrated because it's Valorant, because it's a first-person shooter, or because they're an angry person. Which, I mean, I don't think none of those things contribute, but I think it's worth considering why or how they contribute so that we can get to the root of why so many players deal with this. Because if it was just like a one-time thing, maybe we wouldn't have as much toxicity in the community as we do. So then let's talk about that player. Let's talk about that one friend that you have, or that one friend that you might be, that gets frustrated almost every time they play Valorant. Why? I think it obviously depends on the person and how they see the game and how they play the game and what part of it makes them frustrated. But I think in general there's one thing that makes all people frustrated, and that's things being out of your control. Sometimes I get accused of being a therapist. I am not a mental health professional. I never claim to be a mental health professional. Nothing I do is ever mental health advice. However, when I coach people, I don't just coach people to play the game, I coach them to not hate the game, to have fun really. So a lot of the experience that I talk about is coming from a place of understanding that each player is in a different spot that is far away from having fun. And part of my job as a coach is to get you to that point, or at least closer to that point, within whatever time frame I have to let you listen to me yap. Chances are you get frustrated when something is out of your control. In Valorant, there's a lot of things that are out of your control. Life is full of RNG. In fact, that's kind of the fun part, is that you have to live life with all of this RNG, and you have to find a way to thrive despite it. So what's not in your control? How much RR you get, how long a match is, how good your teammates are, how the enemy team plays, your ping, everybody's ping. You don't control how the enemy team is feeling today. Maybe they're having a crazy day. Maybe they dropped 30 in their last game and they're about to drop another 30 on you. Maybe that jet that's going to drop 30 is on your team, but they're going to drop 30 by baiting and getting clutch kills. So they're going to get mad at you because they are higher on the scoreboard, even though they're contributing just as much, if not less, than you. So we've established so far that things that make us frustrated or angry are often things that are out of our control. And Valorant has a lot of those. Most of the things are somewhat in our influence, like how your team acts, how much RR you get, or what ping you get even, but most of it is out of our whole control. And then we have expectations. When you queue into a match, you have an expectation, whether you want to or not. This is how the brain works. This is how the game works. And when that expectation isn't met over and over and over, then we'll get frustrated. Extra Credits, which is a YouTube channel much bigger than mine, but much cooler, that you should check out, made a video about RNG where they used Portnell's postulate to calculate player frustration by seeing how much time a player risks to losing just to straight RNG.
Player frustration with RNG equals time lost multiplied by the percentage chance of losing that time.
The example that they used that's closest to what we're talking about was Hearthstone. If you lose to RNG about 20% of the time, which in Valorant, that's usually what I'd say. 20% of your matches you always win, 20% you always lose, and 60% are within your influence to make a win or loss. Absolutely very rough estimation, but let's take that 20% and multiply it by the time that we invest in to play a match, which in Valorant is like 40 minutes. Now, if this was it, I would say, womp womp, that kind of sucks, but it's not a big deal. But a lot of the time what we're doing when we play Valorant, because it doesn't have any really good casual game modes, is we're playing ranked. And if we're playing ranked Valorant, that means that every time we lose a match, we also invest the time that it takes to get back to where we were. So if you're at 40 RR, lose a match, go down to 20 RR, you don't just lose the investment to get to 60 by winning, you also lose the investment of the last match you played that got you to 40. Basically meaning, if you lose double, and if you win just a normal amount. So then when we're risking time, we're going to have to double that. So it goes from 40 minutes of one match to 80 minutes of the match it'll take for you to get back to where you were. And then we multiply that by the percentage chance of you losing to just straight RNG out of your control, which we decided was about 20, which gives us a player frustration number of 16. Overwatch ranked matches are about 10 minutes. And again, if we add the little, oh, but if you play ranked and if you lose a ranked match, then you have to get that one back, and we double it, then, okay, 20 minutes times the 0.2 from the 20% chance that we're just going to straight up lose. It gives us a number of 4. Valorant, again, 16. So relative to other competitive first-person shooters, specifically Overwatch, Valorant has a very high margin of player frustration. I don't know if I would attribute all player frustration to this, but I think it's an absolutely massive factor that we should not overlook. Now, you might have realized, if my player is going to get so frustrated over just a Valorant match because they're losing time, which is an entirely fair thing to say, I'm not saying this is invalid at all. What's the point of even playing Valorant? And I'd say that's a very good question, because we're not getting value out of risking time, we're getting value out of playing the game. And this is when something very tricky happens. As players, in order to subsidize whatever frustration is going to occur from losing a match, we need to get value out of something besides winning. I know, hear me out. If your goal is simply to climb ranks, yes, this is going to be very frustrating. Even if you 5-stack, even if you trio, even if all of these things that you can put in your control you do, you're still in a margin where you're going to lose time based off of losing one match. So the value has to come from outside of winning. This might be very frustrating to hear, but there are things that we can do to get value outside of just winning RR. What value you get definitely depends for each person, but you can get a lot. You can get time spent with your friends if you're doing something like 5-stacking. You can learn for future rounds, matches, and gameplay in general. You can socialize. Honestly, playing ranked Valorant is a fun way to socialize with people if you're lucky enough to find people that are willing to do it. And the joy of playing around the RNG. If you play a match and you are perfectly fine with the fact that there is a chance you will just not be winning, and you push through anyway and you say, it's whatever, and you keep playing, you can have all the fun that you want. That doesn't mean this is easy. You kind of have to reprogram yourself from whatever you were doing to whatever you want to be doing, which I think we all know is something that's kind of difficult, because you might have even picked up your phone to scroll through TikTok during this video. The first step ultimately is awareness, and that's what I was trying to trick you into in this video. I'm trying to trick you into realizing, oh wait, that's why the game is so frustrating. It makes me upset because it's wasting my time in this way. It makes me upset because I'm forfeiting control of this or that. And then hopefully, next time you play, you'll have a bit more knowledge of what you should be looking out for. This might be the first video of a Valorant player outside to get more than 1,000 views, if I'm lucky. So here's your summary. We get frustrated about video games when things are out of our control. Valorant has a lot of things that are out of our control, and when we lose a ranked Valorant match, we're not just losing the time spent to play that match, but also to get to the RR we lost from it. This means that to avoid being absurdly frustrated every time you play Valorant, you need to do 2 things. 1, accept the things that are out of your control. I know. There's going to be a lot of unwinnable matches from the start, and you'll never know they're unwinnable, but you have to try all the way through to find the fuck out. And 2, we have to know what other ways to get value from the game besides RR, besides the climb. This can be as simple as socializing or learning a new character or practicing how to manipulate and influence the RNG. Whatever it is, we need to be doing that so that whenever the match ends, regardless of if we won, lost, or even drew, we need to get something out of it. There's nothing a human hates more than wasting their time, because we don't get a lot of it. If you like what you've heard today, I have a Discord, a Twitch, and a Twitter, but more importantly, a friend of mine by the name of Overpaid makes some very good music that you can check out. They dropped a tape the other month called Rich by the End of the Summer, and they're dropping an album titled September Spirit. If you're interested in all in that music, you can go ahead and check it out. I highly recommend it. Otherwise, stay patient, stay kind, stay creative, stay safe, and protect trans kids. Bye.